daughter Taylor and two sons Owen and Charlie. Rick enjoys spending time with his family, following Detroit sports teams, playing sports, and running. He has finished 9 marathons and several half marathons and triathlons. He also gives a lot of his time to several nonprofit organizations. Please join me in welcoming Rick Blackwell.
Hello, you guys hear me? Hi. All right, Frank, I'm ready to sign up. I'll run through a wall after that. And now, thank you very much for mentioning the thing about Disney World. I've now lost about 75% of you, so that was my background. Good morning. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, why did they pick this guy to do the keynote address, right? All right, here's the story. Bradford was looking for a news anchor named Blackwell to talk about Dr. King. He'd been searching for Mick Blackwell, the main anchor over at Channel 25. He made a mistake looking through that media Rolodex. He ended up calling Rick Blackwell. Bradford, I'm glad you did. Thank you so much for stopping me. Actually, Bradford asked me as a journalist, do I believe in free speech? And I said, of course I do. He said, good, because we want you to give one. So, here it is. No booing. This is a free speech. I want to welcome you to the first annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Breakfast. It's great to be here at Benjamin. I am honored to talk about one of my heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The wonderful thing about Dr. King, of course, his words, his life story. He continues to inspire us 42 years later after he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. In honor of Dr. King, here's my top 12 list of inspirational quotes from Dr. King. Dave Letterman may have top 10. I've got top 12. Do better than him. And at CBS 12 Morning News anchor, I'm contractually obligated, by the way, to do that top 12 list. The speech would have been a lot easier if I worked at Channel 5, but you're stuck with me in my top 12 list. All right, number 12. Dr. King inspires us to serve. Here's the quote. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know Plato or Aristotle to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Talking to Bradford, I know the students here are doing a lot in your community. You live out this principle all the time. The principle that to whom much is given, much is expected. I know a lot of you give back and do it because it makes you feel good. You know that it helps people in your community. We can do more. The spirit of Dr. King lives every single time you guys mentor another student, when you help pets in our community, when you work to raise money to fight diseases, when you try to end hunger. That spirit lives on. 30,000 African children under the age of 5 die every single day. That means that one child dies every 3 seconds. Many from preventable diseases. Wrap your head around that. 30,000 every single day. And more of what's happening in Haiti, but think about that. Not everybody can save lives in Africa and Haiti, but to do nothing is inexcusable. We can raise money, we can raise awareness, we can do so much. Many of you guys are doing things, and many of you can pick a profession where you simply can make a difference in our community. We all have something to offer, we have something to give, something to share. Roll up your sleeves and make your words match your deeds. Dr. King at number 11 encourages us to be courageous. Frank talked about this. 2 days before his death, his flight to Memphis, Tennessee was delayed because of a bomb threat. The people around him were frightened. One of his advisors, Dick Gregory, often talks about that he thought he was going to die each time that he was around Dr. King. He felt that scared. There was friends, but he also knew that there was extreme hatred and there were a lot of enemies around Dr. King. A lot of bitterness. But Dick Gregory said even though that he was scared, his confidants were scared, Dr. King never showed fear. In his last speech, he says, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I want to do God's will. The next day, he was killed by a sniper's bullet in room 306 of the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. Number 10, Dr. King inspires us to fight for what we believe in. I mean, here's a man committed to nonviolence, but he spent a lifetime, he never backed down, never gave up, constantly, passionately fighting for what he thought was right. He once said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. You all have a responsibility to make this generation better and the next generation better. Sometimes that's not going to be popular, but Dr. King lived a life believing that if you stand for nothing, you will fall for everything. Number 9, be filled with hope. No matter the setbacks, the fire hoses, the police dogs, the time spent in jail, Dr. King always believed in hope. He said if you lose hope, somehow you lose the vitality that keeps life moving. You lose that courage to be, that quality that helps you go on in spite of it all. And our president, during the last election, talked about the audacity of hope. You may be surprised to know that in the midst of the civil rights battle back in 1964, Dr. King, in an interview with the BBC, predicted that a black person would soon be in the White House. He said, quote, "There are blacks qualified to be president right now. There is a problem with prejudice, but I am optimistic about the future. I have seen changes. On the basis of this, we may have a black president in less than 40 years. Dr. King was off by 40 years, and we are inspired by his hope. Number 8, the confidence to contribute. You don't deliver speeches like Frank or Dr. King without having complete confidence in yourself, your ability to shine, and your ability to make a difference. Dr. King said, put yourself in a state of mind. You say to yourself, here's an opportunity for me to celebrate like never before my own power, my own ability to get myself to do whatever is necessary. In college, I used to keep a speech written by former South African President Nelson Mandela in my calendar book. I used to rewrite it every single year and look at it from time to time. Mandela was in his 3rd year of imprisonment in Robben Island in South Africa. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. He often said that Dr. King was an inspiration for the movement in South Africa against apartheid. Mandela wrote, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be so brilliant, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? So many of us are afraid of success, afraid to stand apart from the crowd. Be strong, be assertive, be smart. Sometimes we feel, this is probably true of some of you kids in school, it's not cool to be the smart kid. So we lower our standards and our expectations, and I'm here to say, show your strength every single day. Show your passion, be confident, be strong. By doing that, you honor yourself, you honor Dr. King, and you honor Nelson Mandela. Number 7, the call for nonviolence. Think about all the change that this man created, and he did living a life promoting peace. When Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, he said, sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace. Man must evolve and reject revenge, aggression, and retaliation. President Obama, he talked about Dr. King when he won the Nobel Peace Prize in December. He said, as someone who stands here as a direct consequence of Dr. King's life, I am living testimony to the moral force of nonviolence. I know there's nothing weak, nothing passive, nothing naive in the creed and lives of Gandhi and King. But as a head of state, sworn to protect and defend my nation, I cannot be guided by their examples alone. I face the world as it is and cannot stand idle in the face of threats to the American people. It is a tough thing. Of course the goal, we always want to be nonviolent. And the work continues to live out the ideals of Dr. King, but we are also faced with the realism put forth in that speech by President Obama. Number 6, Dr. King inspires us to have empathy. I used to live in Washington, D.C. I would run around the national monuments. Used to love to climb that 98 steps of the Lincoln Memorial, pretend I was Rocky, being in the background, the whole thing. And then, after the workout, I was still sweating. I would sometimes sit on the steps and try to imagine the I Have a Dream speech. I would just kind of look out, look to the National Mall, the reflecting pool, what was going through Dr. King's mind when he delivered what some call the greatest speech of all time. He was told he had 4 minutes to speak. He went on for 16 minutes. And those 1,667 words are sometimes called the greatest speech of all time. Now those moments, I was trying to identify, I was trying to hear the speech in my head, and I could hear those words, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And I was identifying with Dr. King, and for so many years, he really helped white America understand and identify the plight of the oppressed in this country. And while I try to picture that day, and I could try to look out. Of course, I can never really understand what he could be feeling. He grew up in the segregated South. He went to segregated schools. One time he won a speech in high school. He was feeling very good about himself, and instead he was asked to stand on the bus so that they'd have enough room for the white kids. I share none of those life experiences, but thanks to Dr. King, I can be empathetic to where he came from. Number 5, Dr. King inspires us to be the best that we can be. Dr. King is all about intelligence. He is a product, again, of segregated schools, but he skipped 2 grades. He entered Morehouse College at the age of 15. He completed his doctoral studies at Boston University. Dr. King once said, intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. It is our duty to make ourselves aware of what's going on in the world. It's not enough for you guys not to pick up a paper, not for you guys to read magazines, and not to get those first-hand accounts of what's happening using Twitter and the other things that we're using this day and age. We need to know what's happening about the peace process in the Middle East. Why did they revolt recently in Iran about all the human rights abuses? And then also you may want to turn on the local news on CBS 12, 5, and 7. All right, number 4, the need to protect freedom. Dr. King came on the scene 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves, but he realized the fight for freedom, long way from over. He said, our freedom was not won a century ago, it is not won today, but I am convinced it cannot be denied by any human force. Today the question is not whether we shall be free, but what course we will win. Article 1 of the Declaration of Human Rights says all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Being a journalist, I'm concerned about the freedoms around the globe to journalists. Did you know that we are executing journalists in Sri Lanka, that we are stopping websites in China? Malaysia has banned opposition newspapers. There is a lot of work to do in our country with freedoms. The work continues. Number 3 is the power of faith. And here's what Dr. King said about his beliefs. I thought this was interesting. Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. The foundation, for Dr. King's life was his belief in Christianity. But the core principles he fought for are part of all the world's religions. It comes down to the golden rule, doesn't it? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's a belief shared by Christians and Jews and Muslims and Buddhists, atheists and agnostics. The bottom line for Dr. King was that everybody should be treated with respect, dignity, compassion, and kindness. Number 2, Dr. King's ultimate legacy, he really made us better as people. He made our nation better. His quote, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. More needs to be done, more can be done, but I think about the advances we've made in the nation since Dr. King made that speech. And number 1, Dr. King's message to me is ultimately it comes down to love. The quote I picked out is, when I speak of love, I'm not speaking of some sentimental and weak response. I'm speaking about the force which all the great religions have seen as the supreme unifying principle of life. People that he loved in his life was his wife Coretta and his 4 kids. The great sacrifice of his service. Those 5 people lost a husband and they lost 4 of them lost a father. He went way too early. Well, today we show our love for this great leader with the national holiday that was established back in 1983. More than 1 million people go to the Dr. King Center in Atlanta to pay their respects. You can see the old pictures and the letters and some of the speeches come to life. I spent some time there and really the history does come to life. We can also show our love and our respect for Dr. King with events like this one. So, Bradford, I congratulate you on this event. It's a chance for us to come together. I want to thank you for being here today, for listening to this Top 12.